Here's the biggest secret of this whole broadcast, which is the reason that a college degree would matter for you is if you haven't used any of the years prior to age 22 to shortcut the system and go find ways to get real life experience. If you're at 22 and you're like, shoot, I need a job, then you probably need a college degree to get you into the market. Right. But what if kids at 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 could actually be doing things that build an entire resume of real life experiences that clearly have certifications or merit tied to them in tangible, demonstrable ways? Blows the college degree out of the water.
Gaining mentorships and gaining mentorships along the way. And welcome, friends, to Generations. Kevin Swanson with you, Danny Craig, also in studio. Danny, welcome.
Good to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Today we're going to talk about college, and I want to update our listening audience on college, what's going on in college. We have been hammering on college for roughly 23 years of this broadcast, or however long it's been, partially
from two guys with college degrees.
Right. We have college degrees, but we hammer on college largely because I believe college is a root problem for the breakdown of the faith, of family, of freedom, of financial situation of our world. It's not working. And there's a lot of people in America who are agreeing with me right now. Roughly, I guess I'm doing the math right now, 18% of Americans have come to agree with Kevin Swanson, I guess, on this question, because I got some stats here as to what's happening with the college. The college is failing, and it's part of a failing system. I think what we have is a systemic failure. And it's not just college. It's the way we're doing things in this socioeconomic structure of the country. Sadly, college enrollment is up just a tick over the last year, 3.2% in just the last year. But overall, big decrease. We're still 3.3% lower than we were in 2020, a loss of 630,000 students. And that's a lot. I mean, just losing 630,000 students, do the math. Let's say you've got 20,000 students per college. That's still, you've lost 30 colleges in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
In just the last 5 years? But you go back all the way to 2008, you've got another big leak. I mean, a massive leak, to the extent that we're seeing, I don't know, anywhere between 300 and 500 colleges go broke in the last 18 years or 17 years. In 2008, here's the best, most accurate number I have so far. In 2008, 81% of college-aged kids were in college. That's actually pretty high. That kind of surprised me. Did that surprise you?
4 out of 5.
That's a lot. Yeah. 81% of college-age kids, meaning 18 and 25-year-olds, were in college. Today, it's only 63%. It's a 70% leak.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
huge.
but it's
That's
interesting that number is right at the point of the Great Recession. And
yes, it was.
There's been a lot of economic shift since that time.
There's been two major recessionary sort of periods, right? 2008, 2010, and then again once more in 2020. So you've got a full, 18% leak. 18% of college-age kids have left the college scene in just the last 18 years. That's a shift that will affect the worldview of a nation. And I think it's probably the biggest, most significant demographic shift in America in the last 17, 18 years. What do you think? I mean, think about any other demographic shift.
When you think about the way that Americans are used to raising the next generation, college is like the biggest default of them all.
Right.
And when you're creeping towards 50%, I mean,
there's something going on.
Major shift.
Wow. And everybody knows, I think, the reasons for this. Tuition through the ceiling. Adjusted for inflation, public school tuition increased 4.4-fold since 1990.
I don't think wages went up.
No. Well, that's adjusted for inflation. I asked my servant, my online servant, to do the numbers. And my online servant dutifully came back with 4.4-fold increase adjusted for inflation since 1990.
Well, your online servant is responsible for a part of the reason that a lot of kids aren't going to college.
That may be part of it as well. You're right. We've got an online server that helps us.
Talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, and then private tuition increased 2.5-fold. So that's a lot. I mean, it's 2.5-fold adjused for inflation since 1990. 4.4-fold adjusted for inflation since 1990 for public school. And it appears that right now we got a serious problem. TransUnion data reveals more than 30% of college debtors, okay, with a student loan payment due are now more than 90 days delinquent. Nearly double the pre-pandemic rate and the highest percentage ever recorded. 30% of college loaners, borrowers are not paying their debt.
Wow.
Less than half are current on their loan repayments total. That's largely thanks to Joe Biden, the president who was threatening or promising that he would somehow forgive the college debts, and that didn't work. And Trump is not on board with that agenda. And so here we have less than half are current on their loan repayments. This means that we've got a lot of default going on for college debtors. Now, college debt's at $1.83 trillion, up from $520 billion in 2006.
You got that. That's got to affect the overall perception of value of the degree. I mean, just the reality that it's becoming this either something I don't pay for or shouldn't have to pay for.
Right. I think they're coming to the conclusion that ROI isn't where they wanted it to be. The return on investment for a college degree, they're paying, fourfold more than they used to?
Right.
And they're not getting as much as they hoped they would get.
What's interesting is for the same liberal crowd, college is at the same time supposed to be something everybody gets and a massive differentiator.
It's not
work?
computing at this point, no. And here's the other issue, and this makes it really, really tough. The average 2006 graduate could pay off their college loan in 10 years using about 6% of their salary. The average 2025 graduate now would take 16 years to pay off their loan at 6% of salary. But here's the deal, Danny. Overall, their salary is actually quite a bit lower, adjusted for inflation, than what they were getting when they graduated in 2006. And so they can't quite put 6% of the salary to pay off the loan, which means they're going to be in debt for a long, long time. And some are saying that's going to delay marriage. So, you can't pay off your college debts, can't buy a house, can't have a family. And so, it's taken, till you're 36 years of age, what is it? Be about 40 years.
Or kids.
If you're 26 years of age, takes 14 years to pay off your loan, you're going to be 40 years of age before you pay off your college loan. That's a problem. Yeah. You're probably not going to get into a house, certainly not with the mortgage rates today. Yeah. So, friends, I mean, this thing isn't working. Wouldn't you say? I mean, we finally come to the point where this is a recipe that is really not going to pull something together. Socioeconomically, it's just not sustainable. I guess that's the word I'm looking for.
I tend to look at these stats kind of on the bright side, which is to say that, yes, it's not working, but the world realizes it's not working and the business world realizes it's not working. Yeah. And the cool thing about that is it creates now a whole lot more freedom for the ways that our young people can merge into the macroeconomy.
It does. You're right. So there's some real positives here. And when it comes down to it, Danny, what is the root issue? I wrote the book Epoch, The Rise and Fall of the West. And when it came down to it, I said the catalyst for the fall, the reason for the fall, what contributed to the fall of the Christian West was a shift in worldview that happened at the foundations, largely due to the colleges, the universities. I mean, you think about the Democrat to Republican ratio for professors in your average college in America. What are the ratios now? Somewhere around 12 to 1. 12 Democrats to 1 Republican on average. Friends, you're looking at blue state colleges going bust. And we're saying that's a pretty good idea. I mean, that's a good idea. That may be the best possibility for sustaining a Christian worldview.
Because at the end of the day, people do need to feed themselves.
Right.
And
if this isn't doing it.
Yeah. And so I think there's something of a little bit of a giving up on the idea that the government is going to fix my problem by handing me a degree and enough food.
And sort of paying for it, except that you got to pay it back later on. Fox News has this great article that just came out, and they've been coming out with articles on this issue for the last number of years. Freedom economy rising. Why skipping college may be the smartest career move. And they're referring to trade school graduates building successful careers as 40% of U.S. business owners plan hiring expansion. Now, Danny, as you know, the corporate world, the government world, is not requiring the college diploma as it used to.
Yeah.
That's changed dramatically in just the last, I'm going to say, since Trump won.
It's a pretty significant shift.
Yep.
I just looked at some of these stats. This one just blew me away, that fewer than 1 in 5 jobs, according to Indeed right now, even require a 4-year degree. So in terms of just this boilerplate requirement, 1 in 5 jobs it requires a 4-year degree.
1 in 5 requires a 4-year degree.
Yes, and then 52% of jobs on Indeed right now do not require any educational requirements at all.
So you could literally be homeschooled.
You could literally,
Okay.
That's up from 48% in 2019. So over the last several years, we've crossed the middle. Now, to be fair, are a lot of companies still using degrees as a filtering mechanism? Sure. But the reality is that real experience and skill is rising in prominence in terms of the way people are screening.
Nursing, doctors, lawyers, and some engineers are going to need a degree for the time being. Now, one of my theories, I think that when we finally get good sense into the industry, the hospitals and the engineering corporations are going to bring the education back into their own buildings, and they're going to educate their own nurses and doctors and engineers, and they'll have the education program in the morning, they'll do the mentorship in the afternoon. Thank you very much. They don't need these universities to mess these kids up anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's what's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years.
100% agree. Here's what I think is happening. Businesses are caring less about degrees and more about real preparation.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, they have to drive a profit, and they realize the economic outcomes of highly indoctrinated, entitled kids, not great. In a world of AI, what is the value of a degree as a screening mechanism? I think that's largely in question.
Well, they've pretty much jettisoned it.
Yeah.
They're not using it.
Yeah, I think some still do.
But the largest corporations aren't using it. I believe Walmart jettisoned it a few years ago.
It isn't clear anymore what a degree says about you. Then you add the demographic side of things, which is there's a shortage of prepared workers. So businesses are going to be even more likely to deprioritize degrees. They're looking for preparation and hard skills. I think Trump's had an impact on the diversity hiring requirements, which are leading to more merit-based requirements as well. General knowledge work is probably going to be replaced by technology at significant rates. And that means that actual skill requirements are going to go up. And I think that is going to prioritize functional training programs over experiential indoctrination programs, which is going to bring some of that training in-house.
Now, skill required jobs.
Yeah.
That's what this article is about. Fox News interviews the Red Balloon founder and CEO, Andrew Krapicich, and what is this? What is a skill-required job? It would seem to me that every job requires skills. But why are these distinguished as skill-required jobs, do you think?
Well, I do think that just practically asking the question, what kind of knowledge work is going to be replaced by AI is a very practical question to answer. Analyst jobs, certain administrative.
AI can't fix your toilet.
AI can't fix your toilet.
For example.
Right. Yeah.
AI can't build your house for you.
Yeah.
You're going to need somebody to go out there with a hammer and do it.
Hands-on skills.
Yeah.
Still technical skills. All right. There's even the world of programming though is being really shifted now as a result of AI. But still, technical skills make a difference there. And then I would say creative skills. So that one is a little loosey-goosey though, because certainly AI does a certain amount of creative. But I actually think that that's going to up the ante in terms of the quality of creativity. So I think low-quality creativity is going to get replaced. So yeah, those 3 buckets: hands-on, technical skills, creative skills.
And what in the world can college give for any of that? And it turns out trade schools do it for you. And that's why these guys are encouraging trade schools. Here's a great quote from Andrew Krapicich, who's from Red Balloon, right? He says, why are businesses struggling with the output? They're not getting the employees they want. They said if you have someone who's coming out with an undergrad in psychology, they don't have any real life skills, and they've been trained as a bit of an anarchist by a Marxist university. So why would I want to hire that person and put them within my four walls and have their culture potentially infect my great employees who are already there?
Yeah.
Good point. Mm-hmm. Great point. What in the world is college adding to this? And I think the private enterprise are just pretty much dismissing it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, just practically speaking, at my company, we have probably gone through, 5,000 job applications in the last year, and we have really successful and predictable ways of measuring skill.
Okay.
And a college degree hardly factors into it at all. And it's very simple. I have an accounting company, and we bring people in, and we give them accounting tasks on a 2-week trial period, or what we call a 6-hour ride along. And it's really actually pretty easy to determine if someone knows how to use QuickBooks or not. And they don't need to go to a college to figure out that knowledge. Oftentimes a QuickBooks online training program or whatever it might be. But I think in many cases, people are just going straight to the jugular. Can this person do the job? And that's not that hard to tell.
And it looks like the future, in terms of what's available for the average young person out there, the future is to the electricians and plumbers. Electricians, 11% growth outlook. HVAC techs, 8% growth outlook for the next few years. Plumbers, 6% growth outlook. They're going to be able to make somewhere around $60K to $90K a year. Now, that if you own your own business, though, you're upwards of the $100,000. But engineers are doing between $90,000 and $120,000. Doctors, of course, do better. Lawyers, though, there's almost no growth outlook for lawyers whatsoever. Degrees that often struggle in the job market: criminal justice, very high underemployment, 67% underemployed, if you can believe that. Wow. Performing arts, 62% underemployment. Liberal arts, upwards of 57% underemployment. Anthropology is horrible. Physics, computer engineering, commercial art, fine arts, journalism, history, communications, all bad. If you want to get employed, if you want to go into $60,000 in college debt, get out and barely get a job, and you might making $42,000 a year, you want to go with criminal justice, performing arts, anthropology, liberal arts, physics, commercial art, fine arts, journalism, history, communications. So I think we know this, and I think the average young person understands this. What would you tell them? The average young person saying, we ran into some young person at a dinosaur dig out in Wyoming over the weekend, and she had her master's degree in
I imagine finding
archaeology.
you at a dinosaur dig.
Oh, man, it was kind of fun. It was fun. But she had her master's degree in archaeology, and I got the sense, she would be happy with assistant manager job at a McDonald's,
Yeah.
What do you say to a person like that?
Well, we have to start at the foundation of what does God want out of your life. So we need to encourage everybody to ask that question first of all. What does God want out of my life?
Right.
We're so geared to look at everything through the lens of financial returns, and
so it's not just financial return.
that isn't the foundational.
It can't just be financial return.
So calling is essential, and then, but to be honest, that's why college has been such a problem, is because people haven't been looking at the decision of whether or not I go to college through the lens of calling primarily.
But Danny, you also know that a lot of people are saying, I just want to do something fun. I want to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
I want to be a journalist that covers fun stories in the Middle East. Or, I want to be a photographer. I just want to do something fun.
Yeah, be passionate about it.
I want to be passionate about it. I want to follow my heart.
Yes.
You've heard this.
Yeah. Find the dream and chase it with all of your might, and you will be happy.
There's something wrong with that.
Yeah, there's a book that was written about 10 years ago by Cal Newport, and it's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And he basically, from a secular perspective, says you need to abandon the passion mindset and adopt the craftsman mindset, which turns out to sound a lot like
hard work.
Hard work, and be faithful in little things, and you'll be faithful in much.
Exactly.
But the point he makes
does that tie into calling, though?
The point he makes is you're happy doing the things that you're good at and the things that you develop skill in. And you know what? It takes years of hard, dirty work to
get to that point.
Competency in anything.
So even if you're going to be a photographer, you still got to put the 50,000 hours of work into it. You've got to do 16-hour days.
And the other thing he highlights is autonomy. Freedom is also pretty significant.
Which could come, but it only comes once you've mastered the craft.
Yeah.
It's a good way to look at it.
So, I mean, again, let's not look at it primarily through economic terms. Let's look at it through what does God want for me? I don't know that Daniel was thinking, man, yeah, I just want to go hang out with the lions for the next 3 weeks.
I don't feel called to that.
I don't feel called to that. Joseph probably was like, I want to go, hang out in the dungeon for a couple of years.
That's not my calling.
Yeah, David, I want to run from Saul for the next 5. But God has his way of preparing his men.
Right.
And so it is our job to look at the word and say, what does God want out of my life?
Well, it's appropriate for us not just to take a look at our talents, but also for the market. I mean, you could be very, very talented in, I don't know, some picking, your
cleaning fingernails.
Cleaning fingernails or pulling
private fingernail cleaning services.
Pulling lint out of your belly button or something. You're very good at this. You're very talented with it, but there's really no market for it. So the calling has to be a mix of the talents, the market, the opportunities for preparation, et cetera, right?
Yeah,
it's got to be a combination of some of these providential elements that line up in a young person's life.
Well, a huge part of a calling for a young man or young woman is to take dominion in God's world. And that implies market relevance. You're looking at the market, the world around you, and you're saying, what is the need? Where are things falling apart? What needs to be taken dominion of?
Right.
And so I don't think those are misaligned. God wants us.
It's a both and.
God wants us to meet the needs of people in real
with the talents that
that He's given us.
Right. So it's meeting the market needs with the talents I've been given.
Yeah.
And so there's got to be the both and in determining the calling. But let's talk preparation. And we're just going to take a few more minutes on this, Danny. And because we want young people to be well prepared. Now, you know that the way I look at it is head, heart, hands. I believe this is the very best way to think of the preparation every young person needs. And I recommend this for every young person on an everyday basis until they're merging into the calling that God has given to them. And that is, they've got to, on any given day, be thinking, how am I developing my head, my thinking, my heart, my spiritual condition, worship, etc. How am I implementing the things with my hands? How am I applying the things that I know and I've learned and I'm learning to do with my hands? And so college is a little bit of, it prepares the head to some extent. Sometimes it messes up your head, sadly. But the intent is for college to provide some preparation head-wise in terms of our minds. And I think every young person needs a development of their thinking and some preparatory work in terms of their thinking, meaning you've got to get the books. You got to have the books. A plumber needs 3 books. A lawyer needs 300. A doctor needs 427, whatever. Get the books. You got to get it. You can go to online. You can go down to the bookstore and get them. You can go to a brick and mortar college, but you've got to get the books. It's number one. Got to be working the head. But at the same time, you need this discipleship and spiritual mentorship for the heart. And you need to be preparing the hands for implementation. And here's the point. The college doesn't do much for the heart and the hands. They'll tell you that. You say, are you here to disciple my head, my heart, or my hands? I think your average college is going to say, we're here for your head. We'll shove facts into your head, but that's all we do. But we've got to be able to get to the point at which they're preparing, not just head, but heart and hands for the calling. And that calling, of course, is far more than just the career. It's their spiritual contributions. It's their preparation to be the father, the mother, the husband, the wife, and the home, etc.
One of the reasons, though, that college isn't even great at the one thing you mentioned is because generally it's more about what to think than how to think. And so that is critical, that you get the books, but the outcome of the books should be learning how to think. It should be the ability to see a problem solve, think through that, think independently, think according to God's word. So not ultimately independently, but so much of the college is just, here's the way to look at the world. Have a nice life.
And Danny, you authored the entire program, Kickstart, Launch Your Life. This is the companion guide. We've also got the DVDs to go with it. But give us the overall picture for how a young person is prepared for life. I've talked about head, heart, hands, but I want you to put a little bit more legs on this thing.
Sure. Yeah, I was asking myself what actually matters and thinking through that in terms of my own launch into the economy and the business that we run at Profit Coach, and also the work we do here at Generations. And, I have a small company, 30 employees. I've gotten a little bit of a sense of what works and what doesn't. So I put down 5 things. Number 1 would be personal integrity, character.
Which is the heart, the spiritual condition, the character of the person.
Proverbs 22:4. By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches, honor, and life. So you want to have riches, honor, and life?
Fear of the Lord, humility.
Fear of the Lord, humility.
Faith in God, trust in the Lord with all your heart.
Yeah, and of course, all of the Christ-like character qualities that the market actually puts a tremendous amount of value on.
Considering others, loving others. Being concerned for the needs of others.
100%.
That's critical for a Christian in the marketplace.
Truth-telling.
Truth-telling, sure, all that.
So that's number 1. That's foundational. Number 2, and you could put this in the above category, but I think it's so essential I break it out, and that is work ethic.
Right.
The way I would frame that is there's a fundamental mindset or mind shift that is occurring that I think has to occur, and that is I jump through these educational hoops and the economy then hands me a job versus I develop skill and by means of intentional value creation, I carve something of the economy out for myself or for our little enterprise, right? That's a very different mindset. One is fundamentally entitlement based. The economy is going to hand this to me. And the other one is, no, it's on me to go and create value and carve my space out. And that to me is the essence of, or at least part of the essence of the difference in work ethic between what the market actually wants and what it's getting from the colleges today. And I think you see that. Like this generation can't work. They don't want to put in the long hours. That's because I think it should be handed to them.
I suppose the biggest requirement for any job is got to be work ethic.
Yeah.
If you're a manager hiring an engineer and you've got a guy who doesn't have a college degree, you got a guy who does have a college degree, the guy with the college degree is lazy, doesn't want to do anything, just sits around all day. The other guy is just roll up your sleeves, get her done. Who are you going to hire? I mean, he doesn't have a degree, but he's got a brain. He can figure things out. He can solve some problems, and he's motivated, and he works hard. Who are you going to hire?
It's a matter of personal responsibility, realizing that the economic outcome is on me, trusting in God. But in this situation, it's not up to my boss. It's not up to the customers. It's up to me to create the value and put in the effort to make it happen.
All right, so personal character, work ethic, and...
Number 3, thinking skills.
Okay.
This is going to be even more important. Repetitive knowledge work is going to get replaced by AI. I'm doing it today. Things that I would have hired someone to do, I'm doing with a couple of prompts using AI. What I can't replace is the person that looks at a situation and says, I'm going to identify the inefficiency in this process. I'm going to look at this department and figure out why this team is not getting along, right? Those are the problem-solving, thinking, leadership-oriented skills that will continue to be important. So that's number 3. So thinking skills. And the cool thing about all of these is like, you don't have to go to college for that.
Right. And that's the question I was going to ask. Like work ethic, personal character integrity, thinking skills, college? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Yeah. Number 4, communication, relational, and leadership skills. Again, AI is going to summarize emails. It's going to write emails. It will even handle some customer service, but it's not going to go sit down in front of another employee who's bawling their eyes out because they had some bad thing happen to them and help them get back to work. It's not going to talk that customer that's about ready to take his $500,000 contract away from you off the ledge. Right? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So you have to have those communication, relational leadership skills. Face-to-face is going to be even more important.
And motivation.
Yeah.
I mean,
motivating people.
You know, the things that motivate people. You know what they are? They're love.
Yes.
Does AI love anybody?
Doesn't
Not
love
that
them.
I know of.
Doesn't care for them. And then I think I've prioritized these.
Right. You've got personal character, work ethic, thinking skills,
communication, relational skills, leadership.
Yeah.
And then 5thly is some technical or special skill set. And I'm breaking that into something hands-on, okay? We've talked about the trades, something creative that is really originally creative, and I think the bar is going to go up for that, which I think is a good thing. And then, or something technical. And so that's the way that I would be training Jed. Jed, personal integrity. You can't lie. Okay. Number 2, work ethic. You got to work for long periods of time and own the outcome. Number 3, you gotta think. You gotta be able to look at the situation and ask what's wrong, what needs to be solved, and by God's grace, how can I fix this?
And the only way to get this hands-on and technical abilities for problem solving in the workplace is not to go to college, but to get in the workplace and start working. The workplace is the only environment in which to learn the hands-on and do the technical.
So here's the biggest secret of this whole broadcast, which is the reason that a college degree would matter for you is if you haven't used any of the years prior to age 22 to shortcut the system and go find ways to get real life experience. If you're at 22 and you're like, shoot, I need a job, then you probably need a college degree to get you into the market. Right. But what if kids at 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 could actually be doing things that build an entire resume of real life experiences that clearly have certifications or merit tied to them in tangible, demonstrable ways? Blows the college degree out of the water.
Gaining mentorships along the way, whether it be a dad and mom or somebody in the workplace or an elder brother in the church or whatever it is who came alongside you, build a relationship, could identify the character issues, help you with your thinking skills, help you with some of the spiritual 100%. Issues of your life, and give you the how to do the technical issues. And that's the only way in which I became a competent engineer. I went to the second best engineering school in California. It was California Polytechnic State University. And it was hands-on, but kind of a university with lots of labs. But when I got into the field, I made all kinds of mistakes, and I realized immediately I need to go into the offices of the best engineers I knew in my division. Yeah. I would just be with them for an hour every day. I just wander into with a cup of coffee. We'd sit down, talk about things. I'd sit right next to them in design review meetings, and they would know exactly where to go on the design and identify the areas of weakness. This thing's not going to work because this needs to be toleranced better over here and this and that. They had such a natural inclination towards where are the weaknesses in the designs and such that I picked up on it, and I became a good engineer eventually. Yeah. But it took me about 3 years. Maybe 4 years before I became a competent engineer. But I'd already attended a college, university for at least 5 years. I'd worked on engineering for 5 years, but didn't really become a competent engineer in the field until I was side by side with the best engineers I knew in my respective divisions.
And what that illustration gives us is 2 essential components: one-on-one instruction and real-life application at the same time.
And in the workplace where the work was getting done. Yeah. That's, my friends, what a mentorship is. And we absolutely need it now. So if there's ever been a time which you got to feel like you've got to get out of the box, shift the paradigm, find a different way in which to merge your children into the new economy, friends, it's right now, and it's going to require mentorship. And that's why Kickstart, produced by our friend Danny Craig, Kickstart, the companion guide, and the DVDs, it's all part of our Launch Your Life program, available at generations.org. Also recommend How the World Runs and your part in it. For younger kids, we've got an introduction to mentorship in this as well for 14-year-olds, but this we recommend for 16, 17, 18-year-olds, and it's all available at generations.org. So get these critical elements. In fact, I've said before, this is as valuable as a college education, just to get you into the mentorship, to merge you into the macroeconomy. I think this is really as good, and it's quite a bit cheaper than a college education. So available at generations.org, my friends. Danny Craig with me today, and we want to invite you back again next time as we continue to lay down a vision to the next generation.
This has been a production of the Generations Media Network. For more information, go to generations.org/media.